everybody, I'm Bree the Plant Lady, and today's video is extra special. Over the weekend, I had the chance to visit my dear friends David and Christine Sabio, who have, I think, the best private garden in all of North Carolina. And I was making garden tours, which I have a ton of footage of, and I am editing those into multiple segments to share with all of you. But through that process, I sat down with David and had kind of a little interview with him discussing the challenges that he experienced in 2021 when he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. And I hope that this video will serve as an inspiration to all of you and remind you that you're never guaranteed tomorrow, and find the goodness in everything, and that I hope gardening will always serve as an inspiration of hope and joy and a motivating force for you. So I hope you enjoy this video, and be sure to stay tuned in the coming days for a full tour of their entire amazing property featuring over 150 different Japanese maples.
So Christmas night of 2020, very late in the evening, I just didn't feel that good. Chalked it up to maybe one glass of wine too much, maybe ate too much, although I'm pretty good with how I portion, but it's the holidays. Kind of blew it off as just an anomaly, but I ended up with pain that developed a few days later and lasted for several days. But in the midst of that, Christine could tell something was different and kind of said I should go see a doctor. And I thought, not probably going to happen. To go see one that soon, I figured it'd be months before they brought me in. But she runs to the insurance stuff, looks up, like a pancreas specialist. We thought maybe it was pancreatitis or something. And I still blew it off, but later in the day the pain was pretty bad, although surprisingly the pain was actually in my upper shoulder at this point. But I called and they asked me to come in the next day, and I did, and everything basically looked fairly normal on a basic physical exam. Didn't meet really the criteria of even like pancreatitis, and figured I would be dismissed again because I'm considered fairly young and healthy. But the PA wanted to pursue a little bit further. Had an upper endoscopy, which again, that surgeon found the symptoms to be strange, but said we'll go inside, take a look. Nothing exceptional showed up. Thought maybe I had a hematoma on my spleen. The PA got the results, decided, hey, would you mind doing one more test, a CT and possibly an MRI? And I said, sure. Though I wasn't excited about it. And anyway, the day for that came, and I was feeling better. And so I almost didn't go, but I was on my way. Said I might as well, but part of me thought I don't want to be a burden to the healthcare system. But I went to the CT, and a spot on my pancreas showed up. Obviously, this is concerning. So they had already scheduled the MRI, so at this point I was definitely doing the MRI. I did that a few days later, which confirmed the spot. And then that was going to be followed now with an endoscopic ultrasound, where they would also biopsy my pancreas, the spot in my pancreas, through my stomach. And that was just after New Year's, I think. Maybe a couple weeks later. It doesn't matter. I'm in January. And even prior to the doctor calling, I got the My Chart things. Everything's digital now. And I have a biology degree, work for a pathology company, and saw that I had pancreatic cancer. Didn't know what to think. Christine asked me what I felt. I was like, I don't know what. I was pretty stunned. I did speak with the doctor the next day, he confirmed, he's like, you know what we're talking about here. This is pancreatic cancer, and he said this, you're gonna need chemo. Hopefully, you can have surgery. And at that point, the ball started rolling. I got a couple of consults. Ended up going with Duke, and I liked their strategy. They thought I was certainly healthy enough, and thought they could go in and do surgery to remove the tumor, or certainly most of it. And as scary as it was, I liked the idea. And so from that, I say February 10th, I had surgery. It was a fairly rough recovery. I also had to go back in. Fluid was building up. I had to have a stent in my stomach to drain the fluid. But I got through that. So things were, at least one hurdle over. But then came the chemotherapy, and it's a tough regimen. A lot of people, from what I understand, don't make it through many of the doses, but I was able to tolerate all 12. But the pathology from the slide was slightly obscure, so they gave me a positive margin, and so they also wanted to move forward with radiation, which terrified me. But after a couple of consults on that, because I had to get my head straight with that, I decided this would be the best thing. And then we got an opinion, even from Sloan Kettering, thanks to the legwork of my wife. And I decided to move forward with it. And we also moved forward with a higher dose than Duke normally gives. And I went in for 25 days. It was 5 days a week for 5 weeks. And I got through that. And at this point, we're at the end of the year, and December 9th was my follow-up CT, which showed that I was cancer-free. And it was a great feeling, the best Christmas gift ever. And through it all, though, if I could make one statement, was this garden had, to some degree, saved my life. It means a great deal to me. It kept me busy. I came out here almost every day. Oftentimes just to stroll and be put at ease, but it's not my nature. I usually get into something, and I would get into something, and for several hours I didn't think about how sick I was, how terrible I felt, how bleak my future might have seemed. And I would even get a bit of physical workout. You don't realize when you carry 3 20-pound bags of dirt across the garden, well, that's got to be good for you. But it was a reprieve from all the crap I was dealing with. And so it kept me hopeful. I often looked at it even as an anomaly. I looked like, you guys deal with pests and crazy heat, and I was like, we're in this together. And I'm happy that I'm one of the lucky few. Unfortunately, the mortality rate's still very high, and the survival rate's very, very low. But I'm very thankful for my friends, my family, and again this garden. We got through it. I hope I don't have to revisit it again, but I'm not going to worry about that because I have today. And speaking of today, we are enjoying a glorious day again with my friend Bree and her husband David, my wife Christine, and another friend of theirs, Katie, and we couldn't ask for anything better. So I know it's not always the outcome for everybody, but to have something that sort of serves you in that way is tremendous. It will help you with these kind of difficulties. It really did for me. So, but I'm very excited to be cancer free. I hope it stays that way. But a lot of it's out of my control. I'll do everything I can to stay healthy. And should it arise, we'll do what it takes to beat it again.
You're an inspiration for us all.
I hope so. I mean, it's like I said, I realize I'm very fortunate, but I do hope it is sort of a feel-good story for those that do have to deal with this kind of trial and challenge.
Thanks for sharing your story.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for asking. It was a tough year.
Better things on the horizon.
Yes. I'll drink to that.
Yes. Here, I'll toast you.
Cheers.
Well, if you're anything like me, it might be a little bit hard to not tear up after watching that. But I do hope that David's story will serve as an inspiration for you. And I hope you'll tune in to watch the full garden tour videos that I will be posting in the coming days. I promise that you will be wowed out of your minds with the incredible garden that David and Christine Sabio have created. Thanks so much for tuning in, everybody.